Hello, everyone. Very good afternoon, and a warm welcome to today's live webinar on Canada Startup Visa Program. And in advance, I would like to thank all our attendees today for taking your precious time to join us today. And I am Suhad, a business immigration advisor at Fast Global Migration. And joining in this presentation today is Mr. Wahidur Rahman, who is also a business immigration advisor. And before I commence our exclusive session, I have one important announcement to all our attendees today. We are making sure that we are helping you as best as we can. So that's why we have a chat box you can see at the bottom of the screen. So feel free to drop any questions that you have, any concerns that you have on this particular topic as we carry on with the discussion, and our moderators they will ensure that all your questions are answered during this session, or also they will mention the contact number for any one of you to get in direct touch with us to make sure that you are feeling flexible and convenient with your questions answered. So let me begin with an introduction about our company, Fast Global Migration. Fast Global Migration is the renowned and the leading immigration consultant and visa service consultant, where we have the global presence, for an example, in the Middle East, in Europe, Canada, and as well as in Australia, with over a decade of expertise in this particular industry. And we have more than 5,000 plus success stories in our track records. Plus, we have more than hundreds of employees working for Fast Global Migration. And we are more than happy to share that we have footprints. Our head office is based in Dubai, and we have office in Abu Dhabi, we have office in Bangalore, Kochi, in Doha, in Porto, Portugal, Ontario, Canada, as well as in Australia. And I will also like to take this opportunity to give an introduction about Fast Global Migration's renowned founder, Miss Sunira Shabir, who actually hails from India. And our founder's professional career has mostly been in the immigration industry until very recently. So it is our privilege and a distinct honor to conduct this exclusive live session to interact with our clients today. So Wahid, before we touch on any of the important segments on the startup visa topic, I would appreciate, Wahid, if we can have a brief on the history where it all began about the startup visa program.
Thank you, Shuhad. It's a great pleasure to be part of today's webinar. So, when it comes towards a startup visa, if you are an entrepreneur, business person, or a working professional looking to relocate to Canada via startup visa program, you have found the ideal place, as this will be the lively discussion where we will be discussing many important segments of the startup visa program. So, Canada Startup Visa is a government-endorsed pathway for international entrepreneurs and businessmen who want to register their own startups in Canada. The Startup Business Class began as a 5-year pilot program initially launched a decade ago in 2013 and now as a permanent program, and has been highly successful in streamlining the visa and citizenship process for immigrants and entrepreneurs since then. So Shuhad, what do you think? How startup visa program is different than the other entrepreneurs program?
Yes. Well, Wahid, actually, that's actually a good question. So, if you actually look at the other entrepreneur programs which are introduced by the IRCCE or the Government of Canada, more of them, like mostly, these are provincial nominee based programs. And we also have self-employed programs. For an example, the Quebec self-employed program. These are all provincial nominee-based program, and what I see in these programs is that it's not easy for you to qualify for PR, and moreover, they do not directly offer you PR, permanent residency, if you opt for one of the entrepreneurial programs. And also to be noted that most of the applicants in these provincial or entrepreneurial program, they have an obligation that which is inevitable. They have to invest in their business and their business, which was the business venture they could have put in, and they have to show that these businesses are making profits. So for an example, we'll say there is an economic or a financial drawback or a breakdown, and these entrepreneurs or applicants of the entrepreneur programs are not able to meet the requirement from the government. This will definitely have a heavy and a huge impact on their PR application. But however, when we take the case of the Canada Startup Visa program, they do not have such conditions imposed on the business or the applicant that you have to make profit, you have to invest money, you have to run business to qualify for PR. They have given the flexibility in the Startup Visa program. And also, one of the other aspects of Startup Visa program is that the applicant can also pursue another job. You can engage in another legal or commercial activity apart from or aside to your business venture. And also I want to point out that Startup Visa is a federal program, meaning the applicants who are under Startup Visa program, you are allowed to come, live, reside, work anywhere in Canada where you do not have any limitation to particular one province. And also I would also like to point out, Wahid, about the traditional PR programs, even though I don't have to name them because the long list, and many of the applicants are well aware of the traditional PR programs. For an example, these traditional PR programs, as we discussed, these are heavily based on point system. And if you do not meet the eligibility points, if you do not meet the cutoff points, no matter how good your profile or no matter how good your credentials are, it's not easy to become successful or to qualify for an PR application. But Startup Visa does not have such points-based system for eligibility. That is one of the important aspects that I want to highlight in the Startup Visa program. And moreover, you don't need to worry about getting an ECA, which is Education Credential Assessment for your education, which we have seen in other programs, which takes longer time for processing, and sometimes you can even get a negative ECA, which could badly impact on your PR. And the other thing is that you do not need to worry about your age limit. So I want to very much emphasize on this particular point, age. Why? Because if you really look into the IRCC's traditional PR programs, age plays a crucial role. If you are a person who is not between an age limit what they are expecting, it's very hard for you to become qualified itself, even in the first phase. Okay, so leaving the part that you become successful, even the qualification like eligibility requirement becomes so tough for you. But in terms of the Startup Visa program, they do not have any such age requirement for you to become eligible or to qualify for the application. So they do not worry about your age. So age is not a concern here. So which is really a huge turnover compared to all the other programs. Okay, and the other thing in Startup Visa program as well, you don't need to worry about your language proficiency. Why? Because Startup Visa program is designed in a way the IRCC is only looking for a very low language proficiency. Okay, so even having a CLB5 proficiency is more than sufficient for you to become eligible for the Startup Visa program. And I also wanted to emphasize on one more point, on one of the important aspects of Startup Visa program. You can also consider this as a huge advantage for the applicants in the Startup Visa program. You do not need to wait until your PR is approved. You get me? So this is such a good news where you do not need to wait until your PR gets approved from the IRCC to come to Canada. Meaning, under Startup Visa program, the government has introduced a work permit option where simultaneously, once you have applied for the PR, you're letting your PR being processed by the IRCC. On the other hand, you can get a work permit and come to Canada and start your life in Canada. Isn't that interesting? So in this way, you can move to Canada in a very short span from Startup Visa program, regardless or instead of waiting for your PR approval.
Indeed, Suhad, simply wow. This seems like huge attractive points. I haven't seen these points in other programs. So, adding to this, one thing I admire about the Startup Visa program is that you also pointed out that the flexibility of the business, you are not logged into only doing that particular business and you are not penalized. So, if you are not able to find your business also not potential, you can switch to any other as well. So when it comes like Suhad, one of the top questions we always get from client is the speed of the process. That what is the time frame for the startup visa program? We can also talk a bit about the speed of process.
True, why? Because this point is literally an inevitable point. So it's good that you brought this up. So the main time-consuming option, or literally, if you consider in the startup visa program, is that the success of the program heavily depends on one of the important aspects or important approval letter or document that you need to obtain from the designated organization. So which is called as the letter of support. Because in startup visa program, leaving aside your individual eligibility requirement, for an example, your language proficiency and your proof of documents, which are the only essential required eligibility criteria to apply. Apart from them, the letter of support plays a huge role. Why? Because having the letter of support giving you the green signal to proceed further for application, and you can ensure that you have reached your target or your mission is accomplished. So getting a letter of support usually based on the recent growth what we have seen in the startup visa program, why I can say compared to any other PR program, it has a very good and a very huge impact. So if I'm talking about the time frame, getting a letter of support would approximately take 2 to 3 months. Yes, you heard that right. It approximately 2 to 3 months of time to get a letter of support. And the sweetest part is that once you have your letter of support in your hand, you don't need to wait for anything. You can straight away go for your PR submission for your whole family, for the entire family. So you can make sure until or during these 2 to 3 months time, just prepare for your PR submission. And once, as soon as the letter of support is arrived, you can immediately go for the PR submission. And also, I also wanted to point out that there has been very significant enhancement in the startup visa program, and because there has been many changes very recently. These changes were introduced by the government of Canada, keeping in mind that they wanted to expedite the process, plus they wanted to reduce the time taken for the startup visa process, because they have seen the immense growth of this program since 2018. So they are coming up with all these new changes and implementation to make sure the process takes very less time for the processing and for approval and for submission. And let me just point out few of them. There has been an increase in the number of visa application processed under startup visa program. If I'm to give an example, it's typically 3 times higher compared to all the previous years. So which literally tells us that this will have a huge impact in reducing the processing time. And also the government has introduced, as I've said before, a open work permit option. Okay, earlier they only had an option where you can get a closed work permit. Now they have introduced the option to get an open work permit, and the best part is that this open work permit is valid for a period of 3 years. In previous cases, in the previous years, to be noted, it was only a 1 year work permit. And there's cherry on the top here. Earlier, this work permit option was only possible for the essential person who is marked in the group. Only the essential person who is identified in the group will be eligible or has the privilege to get this work permit option. But now your concern or your worries are no longer there. Why? Because all the members of the group in the Startup Visa project becomes eligible to apply for the open work permit.
Yes, Shihad, adding on this, when it comes about the work permit, actually an open work permit, its theme is that you can move fastly towards Canada to find the market potential of your business, and work permit can be applied parallel to the permanent residency submission. One of the important elements for the Startup Visa program is the designated organization from whom we receive the letter of support. So it is also important to discuss the key differences between each of them.
True. Actually, the designated organization, they play a vital role in the entire Startup Visa program. For as a beginner, if you're trying to understand who are these designated organizations or what role they play in your application process, let me just give you an idea, because designated organizations are investor group or business groups that have been appointed by the IRCC or the federal government of Canada, who only have the approval or the authority to invest or to support all the possible startup ventures under this Startup Visa program. And to notably, there are 3 delegated organizations who have been marked or who have been recognized as designated organizations under the Canada Startup Visa program. So one of them is a venture capital organization, and the other one is angel investor group, and the other one is business incubator. The difference between these 3 is only a slight difference to note it out. If you take the venture capital and the angel investor group, both of them are private investor group or business group who actually have a commitment that they have to invest in your startups. Okay, but if you take the business incubator, on the other hand, they do not have such commitment that they have to invest in your startup. So they do not have any investment obligation. And what do they have? They actually have the obligation, or the part from there is that they need to conduct effective mentorship programs to these applicants who have been accepted by the incubators under the Startup Visa program.
Yes, Suhad. So this is a dream program for all the working professionals actually. I believe the segment we have discussed is very fruitful for all of our participants, and we have covered all the important parts of the Canada Startup Visa program. Now it comes towards one most important part, and we can discuss about how Fast Global can help ease the process.
As Fast Global Migration, who are the pioneers in a Startup Visa program, who have shown immense success and continuous progress in the Startup Visa program as a specialized expert in this sector, we do have a very strong mechanism for Startup Visa program, where we start by, we evaluate each and every client's profile. This will be our first step. You can consider the first stage. Okay, and then we assess all these clients' skills, because each and every client, they come from different industry, they come from different background, they come from different professional experiences. Okay, so we will actually assess their skills, we will assess their background, and we'll make sure we'll take them through their legal review process. And this is where we form the group with the ideal profile. or the ideal members, and we also make sure these groups that we form that are in line with the startup projects. So that is how the group formation will be done, and we also ensure all these members in a particular group or applicant, they actively show their engagement, their participation in their startup project during their PR process. Why? How we do this? Because we take them through a frequent mentorship session, which is also a requirement from the IRCC, so which they will come to know more about the program, so they will get in direct contact with the DOs, and they will get more exposure to the Canadian market and the Canadian local market experiences. So I believe we have almost reached the end of the session. Why? As we have covered most of the highlighted or the significant questions we usually get from our clients and from attendees, and I have also noticed that there has been some questions that we have received from a few of our clients. So I would like to touch on a few of these questions, and there's been a question from Mr. Rahul Kumar asking that is there any age limit for the startup visa program? Actually, I covered this part during the early discussion in this session. Actually, there are no age limit. As you are an applicant or a member who is above the age of 18, so you are more than welcome to participate in the startup visa program. And we'll just move on with some other questions.
Yes, there's some one basic question came from Reshma, like IELTS requirement for the startup visa program. So while applying for the startup visa program, the requirement of IELTS is only CLB 5 bands required. So that is, I believe, not a too big, bands to apply for the startup visa. So only CLB 5 is a requirement for the Canada startup visa.
No. And there's another question from Mr. Mohammed. Hi sir, there's previously mentioned about the LOS. So can you tell through which province you can get the LOS? Yeah, that's such a good question, Mr. Mohammed. Actually, the LOS, or we call it the letter of support, it actually do not come from a provincial based or limited to any province. So the letter of support what you are getting, it is a federal letter of support, and it does not limit your business venture or your application to be limited to any particular province. So basically it's a federal letter of support and has no limitation to any province.
There is one more question, like how long does it take to get the letter of support? So when it comes towards a time frame to get the letter of support, we can help you get the letter of support within 2 to 3 months maximum. That's the time frame for the letter of support actually. Yes.
And here there's another question from Mr. Razak. How Fast Global can support for a business plan or innovative idea for LOS? That's a very good question. Fast Global has actually an expert team who are the business development, who have the local market experience and who have hands-on experience with their previous successes that we have regularly done. So we will take care of coming up with the business plan or the innovative idea which meets all the requirements of the startup visa project plus the IRCC and plus the designated organization.
So here one of the most important question is, what is if my business fails after I immigrate to Canada with a startup visa? See, this is the most important part of Canada startup visa. This is also the advantage also, which I admired, that you are not locked into one business, and if you are not able to find your business potential, it will not affect your permanent residency status also. So you are free to work into any other profession. You can do the job or you can do the any other business as well. So this is a very important part of Canada startup visa right now.
And I've also noticed that another question from Mr. Karim, that when can we process the application for work permit? Actually, yes, Mr. Karim, thank you for that question. Actually, in order to apply for the work permit, the essential requirement is that you need to have obtained your letter of support, which is mandatory. Okay, so once you have the letter of support, the priority should be for your PR submission. So as long as you are done with your PR submission or simultaneously, you can apply for the work permit. But the basement is that you need to have the letter of support. Once it is received, you are more than welcome to apply for the work permit.
So one question is, how long is the work permit valid for? So right now, it's a good news and the update from the Canadian government that the work permit is valid for the 3 years, and the most importantly, that work permit is an open work permit now. Yes,
And there has been another question from Mr. Mohammed, that do we have any requirement once the permanent residence is submitted, or any additional action should be done on the business from our end? Yes, actually that's a great question. So one of the other requirement in the startup visa application is that as long as you have your letter of support when you apply for the PR or for the work permit, you also need to ensure that your business venture is officially incorporated in Canada. Okay, so there should be a valid business incorporation. This is one of the important or essential element of the program. And also, as an applicant, it is expected from you that you are showing your active participation in the startup visa program. So that basically will be covered when you go through the mentorship session with your designated organization. And also it is advised that it's better if you can show your business or your startup ventures social media presence. So this will have an actually a positive impact on your application. So if you can cover up these aspects, and also making sure your business is having some slight transaction, it has some active business operations which are taking care or which are carried out in Canada. So this will be an positive impact, and it will actually help in your application success. So I believe the question from Mr. Yash Raj, so I believe it's the same answer for you as well.
Yes, Shuhat, and this question already you have explained about the business perspective.
And there has been another question from how many people in one group, 4 or 5, or is it mandatory? Yeah, that's actually a smart question. To answer your question, Mr. Hassan, there is no such mandatory requirement that definitely you should have a group of 4 or group of 5. So the IRCC Act basically allows up to 5 members or 5 owners in one startup project. So as long as per the demand of the business project, or according to how essentially you find your skillful partner, so you can always have up to maximum of 5 owners in startup visa project. But for your question, it's not mandatory to always have maximum of 4 or 5.
Shoha, there is one more question, very important, is the validity of letter of support. What is the validity? So when it comes towards the validity of letter of support, it will be valid for 6 months, and within then 6 months you need to file the PR submission. I hope you understand this.
Yes, and I also have seen another question that benefits of Canada Startup Work Permit. So in order to highlight the benefit, I would like to make it very short. The few of the important or essential benefits that will actually take your interest towards this. When you have the open work permit, you are literally allowed to come and work anywhere in Canada. So only in the startup visa program, the province of Quebec is not included. It is not part of the startup visa program. So except for the province of Quebec, you are allowed to come and work in any other province with a work permit. And the other important aspect is that along with you, you can also take your family, meaning your dependents, your wife and children, and your dependent or your spouse or the partner. By default, they will get an open work permit. Plus, your children, they will get a study permit, so which allows them to come and pursue their high studies in Canada when you have the work permit.
Shubhad, one of the insecurity from one of our client is from Gopinath. Do we get any training session how to deliver the pitch to the designated organization? Yes, definitely. We have a team of experts with us, and who will be, giving you trainings on how to pitch your business or how to, prepare the business plan as well. So you don't worry about each of every step. We will be helping you out, to make it successful from all aspects.
Because adding on to that, to the question of Mr. Gopinath, we have our legal expertise team who will getting in contact with the clients, who will prepare you throughout your entire process from day one, starting from the business plan preparation until they take you out for your PR submission. So the complete training, program awareness and the knowledge about the program, you will be fully equipped with, so be rest assured on that. And I will also like to touch on a question from another client. What if one person from the group is left after letter of support is issued? So actually, it has no such negative impact on your PR application, because in startup visa program, the letter of support is issued individually to each and every member in the group. Okay, so meaning your letter of support, it is the application that you have to compile with your PR application. Okay, so literally when you have the letter of support, you can be relieved. You can go ahead with your PR application, so you don't have to be really worried about the other persons or other member. And usually there are very less instances or occasions there nobody will be left in the group to get a letter of support, unless you have a criminal record or you have an adverse information, so which will definitely come out to light during the due diligence done by the designated organization. So in advance, even before giving you the letter of support, they will make sure that they have done the due diligence. So it's very rare chance that one person will be left out in the group to get a letter of support. But even in the worst case scenarios, just ask us, so you have no worries, you can proceed with your PR application, because if you have already have your letter of support.
One important question, like where is the office located? We have offices globally. You can say we have a head office in Dubai, and our branch offices are in Qatar, Abu Dhabi, India. We have 2 offices, Canada and Portugal and Australia. The numbers and the location is mentioned on our link. You can contact us directly on the numbers.
And I would also touch on a question from Mr. Rahul. What is the requirement for obtaining a passport? So actually, Mr. Rahul, under startup visa program, so as we discussed earlier as well, the priority is where you will be getting your permanent residency. So once you obtain your permanent residency, once you become a PR holder in Canada, in order to obtain a passport, or we can call it a citizenship, the requirement is that a permanent resident should complete a minimum of 1095 days inside Canada in order to get the citizenship or the passport. So basically, you will have a permanent residency which is valid up to 5 years, and you can complete these 1095 days within these 5 years. And the other thing is that these 1095 days should not need to be continuous. it should not be on the same stretch. So you can split it according to your convenience, and you can plan your travel and stay inside Canada. And once you have reached 1095 days stay completion, you are more than welcome to apply and obtain citizenship from Canada.
Here, one of the important questions from Abdul Razak is, what is the success rate of getting the LOS and PR? So, sir, basically, the Fast Global Migration will help you out to get the letter of support 100%. We have our best team, the legal advisors, and the immigration consultants. So, there is no doubt in that. We will be helping you out to get the letter of support 100%.
And adding on to that, for the question of Mr. Razak, Fast Global Migration is the only immigration consultancy in the Middle East so far who has shown 100% success rate in the startup visa program. And we already have a mechanism which you have introduced, that we give you the option to pay after your letter of support. So in terms that we are guaranteeing you to get your letter of support, and that is why we have introduced this option for you to pay after your letter of support, which is only from Fast Global Migration. As the pioneer and the market leader in the startup visa program, it is our distinct pleasure to come up with such an option to have a relief for our clients. And there's been another question, Wais, from Mr. Karim, that what are the proof of funds required for the work permit? Well, basically the same amount of proof of funds that you require for your PR application is the proof of funds that you require for the work permit. But if you are a person who is recognized or marked as the essential person in the group, so in that case you have to show the minimum proof of funds which are required as an essential person. But if you are not marked as an essential person, the basic or the default proof of funds requirement will apply even in your work permit application. And I have seen another question saying that since you said the letter of support is valid only for 6 months after the PR submission, the LOS not need to be valid or checked by IRCC, and the requirements of LOS to be active again after it's expired. Yes, because initially with the validity of 6 months of your letter of support, you need to prioritize, as I've said before, your PR application. And if you are looking to opt for a work permit, prioritize that as well. And after that, LOS, it will no longer be again rechecked. Why? Because the LOS is issued by the designated organization, the government delegated designated organization. Okay, apart from the LOS, the designated organization also submits a commitment certificate directly to the IRCC. So LOS literally what the designated organization issues to the particular applicant, which covers all the requirements from the IRCC and which actually comes with the approval from the IRCC.
One question, right now there is a issue. Many clients have their insecurities in their mind. Will it impact the process because of the recent event occurred between India and Canada? Currently, it is also being officially announced by the Canadian government that these immigration process will not affect any person who have applied for any sort of visa in the Canada. So their process will not affect right now. So you can apply hassle-free. There is no issue on that.
And also another question, why it's from Mr. Yash Raj. So what's the processing time to reach the PR stage? Well, actually, as I've touched earlier before, if you have submitted your PR application under the startup visa program, the government has made sure they have taken all the steps, as I mentioned earlier, to make sure the PR process is expedited compared to any other PR programs. Okay, so in that way, you can expect a very less processing time compared to the previous years. And adding on to that, Now the PR application is completely online, where in the previous cases it was a paper-based PR application. So reason why they also introduced the online PR submission of the application, so that the applicants can experience a lesser processing time. And also during your PR processing, so the main checks which will be required from the IRCC is your criminal record from your police clearance, plus your medical examination checks, and your financial stability. So you will get your request from the IRCC during the process, and once your required or documents are submitted in due time, so you can expect your PR approval in no time soon.
Yes, I would like to take one more question, that the person can travel with their family in Canada under startup visa program. So if you are applying for the startup visa program, definitely you can travel with your spouse and your children. Even though if you are willing to take your family on a work permit prior to the PR application, you can go with family on work permit also.
Yeah. And also I have another question. They've asked us, will the designated organization submit a new letter of support after 6 months or time to IRCs? Actually, the designated organization issues you a one-time letter of support, which suffices the requirement from the IRCC for your application for the PR and for the work permit. But we'll say the letter of support, actually, as it has an expiry or a validity of 6 months, so even after the 6 months validity, in order for the designated organization to issue you a letter of support, there should be a valid reason, because there is no limitation on the number of times they can issue, but they should have a valid reason. So in that way, if you could not meet the initial submission within the stipulated 6 months time period from the time you got your first letter of support, so you can inform your designated organization and get them a reissue a letter of support for solely for the purpose of submitting your application.
So here one of the important questions came about the program of startup visa, that this is a federal level or a provisional level, like what are the restrictions of this program is. So the startup visa program is a federal level program. You can travel to any of the province except from the Quebec.
Yes, as I've mentioned earlier, only Quebec is not included in the startup visa program. Other than that, all the provinces are considered, and startup is only a federal program, so which has no restriction for you with any other provinces except for Quebec, for you to pursue your work, life, or your studies.
One question is that, is there any further changes or fees for reissuing the letter of support from the designated organization? For your kind information, there is no extra fees. You do not have to pay another time to them.
Okay, and there's been a question from Mr. Akbar. What are the facilities available to families traveling on open work permit, like schooling, medical? Actually, for families for going on the open work permit, until you get your permanent residency, the medical is not completely free, but depending on certain provinces, there are few exceptions for information. And in terms of your education, if they are attending public school, any of your children who are below the age of 18, if they are attending public school, they can opt for a free education.
So Shubhad, it's like we have discussed a lot of points. The question answers also, we have taken the very important questions from the chat box. So we are also short on the time for this webinar. So I request all of our attendees and the participants, if you will be having some more questions regarding this program, some more inquiries. So you just dial a number nearby office If you are in UAE, you can contact us for the Dubai and Abu Dhabi branch, or other from the India or from Portugal, from Canada, for Australia also. So you can contact any of our office, and don't hesitate. Just contact us fastly. We will be helping you out to migrate to Canada through startup visa program.
And I would like to take this to thank all our attendees because they gave their precious time in a very short notice, and they showed their interest by actively interacting with us throughout this session. And we believe we were actually able to suffice your requirements in terms of the program knowledge plus answering few of your important questions. And if we have missed or if you have failed to answer any of your given question, we very much appreciate that you drop us a text, or we will also provide you with our contact numbers. You are more than welcome to reach out to us at any time, and we'll make sure our expertise will always get back to you, and making sure we arrange a call or meeting with you to clarify all your concerns and questions about Startup Visa program. And also I would like to inform that we would like to have few more such interesting and interactive session with our clients in the upcoming weeks, especially about the Canada PR programs and startup visa program. So we are also like to hear your feedback on this session, and what about the next sessions, what types of topics that you would like us to cover in the upcoming session. So we'll come up with such interesting topics to discuss. And thank you very much everyone for giving your precious time and being a part of this live and exclusive webinar session. So it's a great privilege and an honor, and I would like to catch you all in another interesting session.
Thank you very much all.
Thank you.